Okay, this in this video, I'm gonna show you how we import a CAD drawing into a Revit file in order to create a topo solid from that. And what I've got open here is the CAD file in AutoCAD that you're going to be using. And let's so you can see the different layers right here. We've got a building, overhead, paving, property, topo, major, minor. And if I flip up my view, you can see that all of these things have elevation to them. This is something that we've not really done in AutoCAD, but when you create an object, you can give it an elevation right here. See, elevation's at 13 feet. Okay, which would be fairly common if you're going to do a topo surface, if you will, in AutoCAD. Anyway, I wanted to show you this so you can see it. If you're going to import a CAD drawing into Revit to create a topo solid, you need to open up the AutoCAD file and make sure that the things have elevation to them. Okay, so now I'm going to close that out. And here in Revit, we're going to, once again, we're going to start with a new template. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and go to the site level, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my 3D view and tile those. Now, I didn't talk about the project base point. Oh, I didn't talk about these last time very much, but you've got two of them. You've got a project base point and a survey point, and they're. I want to select and okay, that's the project base point. I don't want to move that one. It's the survey point. Okay, so I'm going to move those over here. Now I've got another video that where I describe these things in more detail. Suffice it to say, the project base point, it's just that. Think of it as the origin for your model, your project. And I like to put like one corner of my building, constrain that to the project base point, or something part of your building. Okay, typically a front corner or something is usually what you'll see. I'm looking at my notes here. Okay, so I just wanted to move them over out of the way so you can see what they are. We're going to import that CAD file, but before we can do that, we have to actually put it into our drawing, into our model here. So we're going to go Insert, and we have options here. We can link a CAD file, or we can import a CAD file. Now, if you link, link Revit, CAD, topography, okay. I think that's a new one. Okay, that's for a Civil 3D drawing. Okay. When you link something, it's like an X reference that we did over in AutoCAD. So it references it, but it's really not there. Okay. But it's referenced and you can unlink it and such like that. In this exercise, we're going to import it. So I'm going to go Import CAD. And you want to navigate to this file that we're going to use. and it's the site plan. Now let's look at our options. Um, your different options here. Auto, for this, I'm going to leave it at auto. Depending upon the project you're working on, you work through it, you may end up having to do it manual. Okay, but we're just going to leave it as auto, origin to internal origin. We're going to place it at level 1 because that's the lowest level we've got. Colors, we'll preserve our colors. Layers, if you have a project and if you've looked at it in AutoCAD and you know that there are certain layers you do not want to import, here you could specify well, I thought it will pick it up in a minute. I'm going to leave it at all because I know that all of the layers in there I want to bring over. Okay, so units. We'll leave it at auto detect. You have the choices here of what you could use. Before you select one of these, you need to make sure whatever it is in your CAD file that's what you're going to specify. Okay, we'll leave it at auto, and everything else looks good. So I'll say open, and you can see it imported it. Okay, so now, and this is just it's the AutoCAD files. It's just lines and layers. Okay, and you can see that it's pinned. It's pinned. It's just in there. Think of it as a block. Okay, if you would, from AutoCAD. And if we come up here, we could look at the different layers. And if we wanted to delete some of them, we could delete them here. Okay. We can do a query. Okay. Which means we can select something in the CAD drawing and get the information about it. Okay, most specifically that we would be looking for would be what layer it would be on. Okay, it doesn't give you much information. It just tells you is it a line or whatever entity it is over in AutoCAD and what layer it is. That's the main thing that we would want to show. Okay, so now on my site level here, let's go to massing and site and topo solid create excuse me, I'm getting a little hoarse here. Create from import, and then once again over here we've got what we're going to create, what family we're going to use. And then we have two options here, create from CAD or create from CSV. And the CSV is what's known as a points file. It's like a Microsoft Excel file that was created, and it has a point number, maybe a point description, like an X location, a Y location, and an elevation. And there may be other information there also. And this is the data that a surveyor would provide to the engineer or the drafter to create the drawings, whether it's in AutoCAD or Civil 3D or in Revit. You just have to know which columns are which in the order in which they come in. We're not going to do that with this project. We're going to go create from CAD, and we're going to create a topo solid. And now you select the CAD drawing. And we want to add points just from the topo major, topo minor layers, because that's what's going to create our solid. So we unchecked all but that, and we tell it OK. Okay, so over here in my 3D view, I'm going to go shaded. And now you can see um, you can see our topo solid. Now, once you've once you've created what you need, you can delete the CAD import. Okay, you could delete it if you've linked it. After you're totally done with it, you can unlink it and remove it from your drawing. We're going to leave it in here because for the next, well, this video and the next video, we're going to do some other things with it. But now you can see the topo solid that it created. Now I want to look at it. I'm going to go modify. Is that what I wanted? Oh no, I need to be over here in this. And let's go to simplify topo solid. Okay, so this tells me that there is 1,540 points that it created. Okay, um, this version of Revit seems to do a lot better job at simplifying a surface. In the previous version, there was like 5,000 to 6,000 internal points. And so this is a lot better. And what I mean by points is the end of each line segment or each corner, like say on the roads here where you've got a line and then you've got a beginning of an arc. So you'd have a point here, a point there. You'd have all these different points. And so it makes your file really big, especially if you're talking a large site plan. So we can simplify it. And so let's leave this at 80%, and this will simplify it down to 232 points. Now it won't be as accurate, but it'll still be pretty close, and it'll just simplify and make the size of the thing a little bit smaller. Okay. All right. Come on, mouse. All right, so let's look at a couple of things here with this. So if I select this, and we did this before, let's go into edit type. And the structure, we've already looked at that, but I want to look at the contour display. It tells me right now that I have a start and a stop for what it's displaying the contour lines of negative 100 feet and plus 1,000 feet. Well, it just needs to be, the start needs to be less than your lowest elevation in your project, and the height needs to be greater than your highest elevation. And so these are just kind of some defaults. Okay. It's set so that the primary contours are to display at 5 feet and secondary contours at 1 foot. Okay, so let's cancel out of that and back up. And let's come to here. And in order to see this, you have to turn off thin lines. And I've got thin lines turned off so that you can see that. And if you'll notice right here, we've got a thicker line, and then we've got 5 thinner lines. If I go to my site plan, I've got the same thing. I've got a thick line here, 4 thin lines, and then a thick line. So that's what I mean by every 1 foot and every 5 feet. Okay, so let's go in and change that because that's a lot of lines. And you may want that, you may not. It's more common, I say more common, for it to be like 10 feet and 2 feet. Okay, and so you can see it gave us fewer lines in our drawings. If you're familiar with topographic maps, um, you may have a major contour line at every 100 feet and then a secondary contour every 20 feet. So it really depends on what your project is, what the variation of elevations are. It just all depends on project by project basis. But that's how you adjust that. Okay. Um, okay, so I want to let's place a section through here, and I think on my 3D view, uh, I have the best way I found to kind of hide that the AutoCAD drawing. We can do it in visibility and graphics. If we come over here to imported categories, we can hide. That's the easiest way to hide it. Okay, because when it creates the solid, it's in the exact same location as the AutoCAD drawing is. Okay. There's some other ways you can select one, temporary hide it, and then, you know, totally hide the other one, stuff like that. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. But let's drop a section view in here so you can see some of the stuff. And I'm going to put it right through there. Okay, and so let's untile things here since we've got tab views. There we go. Um, so the green lines here, these are is the AutoCAD drawing. So you can see our hatch here for the Earth. Okay, and remember when we looked at the materials, the dirt or the grass did not have a hatch pattern. So let's go back in and take a look here at our materials. And under the Earth, you can see it's got a cut pattern with the Earth pattern there, okay, the hatch. Let's look at the gravel. The gravel just has a diagonal cross there, okay. I mean, in this case, we got 6 inches. Now, the extent of the Earth hatch, if you will, depends on the lowest elevation of the project. So let's come back to here. And if I look at my 3D view, I can see right over in here is the lowest elevation. It's almost like I don't know, a roadway, a riverway, something like that, a drainage. So let's move our section view over to here. I don't know if that'll be the lowest or not. And let's pull some dimensions. So if I go from the very bottom of the topo solid, I was looking for, I can't see my levels. So let's uncrop this. Okay, so there's level 1. So now I want to pull a dimension just to show you. And I want to select level 1. It didn't do it. Come on, dimension. Level 1 to the bottom of the topo solid. It's 7 feet 4 inches down from level 1. Okay, and we picked that up in the properties for this. We can see right there elevation at bottom is 7'4". because the the very lowest part of that file is at -6 feet. And that's just the way, because remember, we brought it in from AutoCAD, and so those contour lines down there had negative values. So let's pull another dimension. I want to go from level 1 again. Level 1. And let's come over here to there. And so that tells me it's 6 feet. The lowest point of the topo solid is 6 feet below. And our material, our topo solid material, if you remember, was 16 inches, which is the difference between 7.4 and 6.0. Okay. Now, regarding hatch patterns, in some of our drawings, we may want gravel to display as what looks like gravel instead of just X's or crosses. Anytime if you're going to change the hatch pattern on a material, you need to duplicate that material and create a new one so that what's showing in one view is not what you may want in another view. Okay, now here's another little thing that you can do. We want to add a special contour interval at a certain elevation. And if you think about, we might need, I don't know, a flood zone level. Okay, maybe a high water mark, a low water mark. I don't know, maybe there's a rock strata level, something that you need to mark a specific elevation throughout the whole project. Well, you come here to contour display and we'll go insert, and we're going to start over here with the range type. And so we'll change that to a single value. Okay. And then it's kind of difficult to see, but the interval and the stop grayed out on the screen there. And so I want to make this, I'm going to say 13 feet. I want a specific contour line at 13 feet. And I want to change the subcategory. I'm going to make it hidden line just so that it's something different right now. And so we'll say OK, and we'll go OK. And then if you notice right there, it put in that contour line. So that is at 13 feet above our base level. And it goes all the way across the project. So we didn't have to do anything special. We just had to put it in there. Okay. All right, let's look at visibility and graphics here. I want to do that here. I want to do it. Yeah, I'll do it here. Okay, so let's go to visibility and graphics. And here in my model categories, let's scroll down. We got two fields here, topography and topo solid. We're working on a topo solid, so the things on topography are not going to be affected. All right. And so here are the things that are displayed. And one thing I can do is I can come here to my primary contour line and I can change the color of it to red and go OK. And then you notice all the primary contours are now red. Okay, the secondary ones are still black. If I go to my site plan, that didn't change. This is still showing the AutoCAD file. So let me hide the AutoCAD file. Okay, so here everything is still black because if you remember, changes you make in visibility and graphics are only for that view. It's not for the entire. It's not for the entire drawing. Okay. So let's go back over here. And even if I were not in color mode, if I were in hidden line mode, it's still showing up as red because I specifically said those are going to be red. Now, how can we change lines and line types and things? If we go to Manage and come over here to Object Styles, and we scroll down to Topo Solid and expand that, here we're seeing that these are the line colors and line weights and line patterns. Okay. And so I could change patterns and things like that. And I don't recommend that you do this unless you're like the BIM manager for your company, or you're working on something new to add in, because you could really, mess some things up by making changes here. But if we needed, because we used a hidden line for that 13-foot contour, if we needed a new let's call it something new, I'm going to say flood level. It's a subcategory of Topo Solid. Let's give it a line type. Is there a phantom? They don't call it phantom in here. We'll go dash dot dot 3/8 of an inch. And let's go ahead and make that red for sure. Do we want it to be thick? This would be like the weight of it. Secondaries are 1, 1. I don't know. Let's just go half range there. We'll go 3 and 3. Okay. Now let's select our solid and go back in to edit our type. And now we can change this to flood level. And see, it changed my line pattern right there. Of course, it's made red also. But if I go to my site plan, same thing here on my site plan. See, there is my flood level line. And it's showing up in red also, right there. Okay, looking at my notes here. Okay, so that pretty well covers a lot of editing and two different ways to bring things in to create a topo solid. The next video will be dealing with some other things of, like streets, sidewalks, paving, and things like that.